Your turn up.
What did you win on your showcase? $6,000. You're right. Don't win just knowing that, but you're right about that. Now, the actual retail price is $8,194 for a difference of $1,694.
You gotta turn that up. I got the broadcast class.
Turn it down, he say.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to teach the class right now. You can't teaching the class right now. All right, everyone. We got VC Round District 120, SW, Universal 7, Melissa Davis, Reveal, the Wordsmith, True Self. Everybody take a minute, do each one, teach one. Hit the like button, share this on all the pages real quick, which is what I gotta do myself. What's the deal still out there before we get into the topic? So before we get into the topic, we got any questions out there? Put this on here for Facebook people. But the topic today, wisdom, power, demonstrating force. It's just. Hold on, y'all. Let me close this door. That's a little silence right there, man. So we think. So we can think like we want to. There's this question right here. BC Rose said, how will MBGM use her wisdom to power through 2021? Who's MBGM? Yeah, y'all have these new abbreviations that I'm not hip. Who's MBGM? Oh, Miss Black Girl Magic. Well, I don't think it's so much that
personal. Keep it chill.
I mean, listen.
Your shit is kind of low.
But you know, when you dealing with Miss Black Girl Magic, I don't think the issue is so much how she's going to demonstrate her power, but you know, how we gonna demonstrate our power on her. You know what I'm saying? How we gonna demonstrate our power over our situation, you know, of which, you know, she got some type of input in. As hold on for a second. All right, listen, man. Keep these doors closed, man. I disturbed you. would think I don't do this every week. All of a sudden, now everybody wants to come in here and talk. But no, that's a matter of the power that we got to demonstrate. You know, in terms of how far, or whatever. She the only power she's demonstrated is her power to assimilate into that world. That's the power that she's demonstrated. But in terms of that right there, that's one of the things that I'm talking about. When I say wisdom power, how you going to demonstrate force, how you going to demonstrate the ability to bring about a change, a change in a situation, a change, a material change, in the matter that's around you, in dealing with, one of the things that you got to deal with, right, is wisdom, right? When we say wisdom, that don't just mean that you're doing something, right? It means the proper application, you know what I'm saying, of what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, et cetera, et cetera. You see what I'm saying? Because, if you got a regular car, right? You got a regular car and you come with an electricity plug, that's not gonna work. You can't plug your car into you can't plug your car into the USB. So that means that you have to have a specific way that you apply the knowledge. It's not just, willy-nilly, you go outside and, you start quoting lessons. See, now you're not really wisdom and power. You're just talking. I don't care what level of whatever, you just talking. You understand what I'm saying?
This shit is real low.
All right. You know what I'm saying? Now you just talking. See, these is the things right now. This is specifically, the matters, that sometimes we don't look at. You understand what I'm saying? We got the rawest, purified form of knowledge. But see, a lot of things that's in the rawest, purified form, right? We still have to apply it. Because see, everything that we apply it to can't necessarily deal with the rawest, purified form. So this is why we break things down. You understand what I'm saying? Like if you teaching a baby, right? You teaching somebody that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can't give them, the same level of wisdom that you could give to somebody that's 13, 14, 15, 16. And a person that's 13, 14, 15, 16, they may not be ready for somebody that's 25. So in each one of these situations, in order to show wisdom, right, you got to show the ability to demonstrate that power specifically as it applies to that. So that's when you say you're the Lord of all worlds from highest to lowest. So it's still the truth that you manifested, and the truth is still raw and purified. But the way how you applying it through wisdom, right? And see, at the end of the day, that's what is the difference between wisdom and talking. Between wisdom and you just moving around just to be moving around.
Okay, son.
You just doing things just to be doing them. You just following the program. Lord Savior said, today's supreme mathematics is wisdom, power, or being born to God. Your ways and actions are how one shows and proves their power. This is true indeed. But remember that it's not just like, you could go into a situation, right? And disrupt the situation.
Put it out.
Like, let's say you go into a situation where everybody's at peace, right? If you go into your job.
Let's go.
Yeah, listen.
Are you gonna give me a problem?
Listen.
Are you gonna give me a problem?
Listen, see, close the door.
You don't want anybody in New York. Come on. Man.
Seal up.
Yeah.
Close the door.
I'm sorry. Jay, come on, man. Get it out. Come on. Make sure it's out. 105. Right. Thank you. Come on, I gotta close the door and I'm out. And you need to get.
Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I'm broadcasting right now. Everybody's hearing this, man. But see, you could go into a situation, right, where you trying to apply things in a way that it works in a different cipher, in a different world. And then you come into that world, right? And what you actually do is cause disruption and confusion. See, sometimes wisdom in your power means leave that situation alone. Leave those people alone. You understand what I'm saying? Just like sometimes wisdom in your power. Let me give you a good example of when wisdom in your power means not doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or not getting involved. See? And it's an easy one. We harp on it all the time. But see, with drugs, see, wisdom in your power, right? That don't mean that you know all the ways to deal with this drug. Like, you know where to get it. See, that's wisdom. The other drug addicts, they're going to see you as being wise because you know where to get all the best drugs from. But you're not really wisdom and power. Because in reality, you a slave to the power of those drugs. So in order to show your wisdom and demonstrate your power, you leave that alone. See, that's what wisdom is. Wisdom is sometimes being wise enough not to say nothing. See, when you got two people and they both trying to wisdom, but one of them, right, is not wise enough to do the knowledge while the other is speaking, or really both of them. Because you can have one person that's using wisdom. Okay, I'm letting you speak, but then you're not letting me speak. You keep cutting me off. Then that's what happens when we say what? Wisdom bring about a bad culture. So be mindful of that. But, as we were speaking in specific, with this situation right here that you brought up, politically, yeah, how do we demonstrate that force? In that particular arena. Because we saw that there was a lot of demonstrations all summer long, right? There was a lot of demonstrations. But what was the outcome? What was the, you know, was any power really manifested there? Did any of it bring about a change, at least so far? See, that's when you're dealing with the science of wisdom and power. It don't just mean that you can speak this knowledge. Because when you go into the world and you go amongst people, right? And you tell them that you God, right? That's what they always asking you, right or wrong. Well, if you God, then what about this? They want to see can you wisdom, your power, and these other things. Like, yeah, we hear what you're saying with those lessons. We can't argue with you about that. You know, you're a master at that. But what about this stuff over here? See, that's when you really wisdom and power. When in every world, they can see the evidence of the power that you manifested. See, if through your wisdom, they can't really see no power, and when you manifest your power, they can't detect your wisdom, then you're gonna what? Have a hard time teaching in the year 2000 AD. Because the people can't detect what it is that you're saying. See, when we deal, we got a couple of Mr. 120s in here. We got some scholars. You know, what's wisdom, power, in the 140? The wordsmith say a lot of 85ers want to see you walk on water, so literally. And this is true, right? But now, see, even with this is a time where you have to wisdom power, right? And in that an instance like that, you know, the thing is this. Of course, this is a person who's dealing with illusion, right? If they're asking you to walk on water, of course, right? But look, you know, when it rains, we all walk on water. Now we know the science of what it really means, right? Is that the water is what? Wisdom. That's your words and that's your actions. You see what I'm saying? And your words and your actions, they precede you a lot of times. With certain people, we never met them before. But their existence walks on the water. It walks on the wisdom of they words and they acts that they did, they deeds. You know, you already heard about them. So the word of the Messiah, right, was traveling amongst the people. Now that's when we, you know, look at it and we dissect it according to that kind of language. You see, one thing we got to understand, right, just in terms of, you know, if we're dealing with the literal sense, like what you're talking about, if we're dealing with the literal sense of what you're talking about, wordsmith, right? You see, a person cannot disqualify you for something that they've never seen their God do either. So see, when somebody asks me a question like that, what I tell them is, listen, tell Jesus Christ to come down here and walk on water, and I'll walk twice as far on water as he do. See, a lot of things that religious people will request that you do in order to show and prove that you God, right, is based on their illusions of something that was supposed to have happened or might have happened thousands of years ago. Got love in the building. So you're going to have all these types of things that people is going to say. But you don't get caught up in that. This is how you got to know how to wisdom power. This is how you got to know how to explain. You know, that's what happens. You got to be able to explain to people the things that's going on around them and the things that happen to them so that they could come to an understanding. You know what I mean? But getting back to what we were saying right here, District 120, Mr. Green won both when I asked for the wisdom power degree in 140, how long did it take to make a devil? 600 years of grafting the devil or making him from the black man, right? Mr. Green one got it as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying, is that when you wisdom your power, right? And through your power, we see what you wisdom, we see the evidence. See, anytime, look, even if you know, whatever, any type of energy that manifests itself, you're able to see the evidence of it in the matter that it affected. You see what I'm saying? So what Yakub manifests his power to do, right? That resulted in the devil. See, this is why I'm telling you that you got to be wise when you manifesting your power. Manifesting the power to do what? See, because let's get into some science about wisdom power right here, right? Get into some science about wisdom power right here, right? And let's deal with water, right? Does anyone know the freezing point of water? Anyone, Bueller? The freezing point of water we looking for. Everybody do the each one, teach one, hit the like button. The freezing point of water we looking for. $32 degrees, Lord Savior. And 32, that borns what? Power. Right? That borns power. Now, does anyone know the boiling point of water? Yeah, actually, that is exact, Wordsman. 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. I'm glad you put that there. That's exact. Because you got different scales, you know, there's the Celsius scale, you got Kelvin, but we talking about Fahrenheit. You know, what's the boiling point Fahrenheit of water? District 120. Or to I put 112, I'm sure you probably, that's a typo, but District 120 put 212 degrees, Lord Savior, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Now, 212 borns what? Power. So now, do you understand the wisdom? Do you understand what wisdom is? Do you understand what wisdom you making born and what you making born through your wisdom? What power are you demonstrating? You demonstrating the power to freeze or the power to boil? Do you understand that wisdom? Now, for some of our high scholars, right? What is the understanding wisdom degree? In the 1 to 40, that is. What's the understanding wisdom degree? Am I moving too fast here? If I'm moving too fast, Terry, slow down. But does anybody know what the understanding wisdom degree in the 1 to 40 is? Tell us the mental and physical power of the real devil. Precisely, wordsmith. You see, within the science of that degree, though, right? Even though it's telling you, right, the question asks you about wisdom, mental, and physical power of a real devil, it also tells you the mental and physical power of the original man. So see, that's what it's telling you. Do you understand the wisdom? Do you understand what you wisdom is? See, once you get to them understanding degrees, right? Where does understanding come from? Understanding comes from within us. So when you get to them understanding degrees, do you really understand? Do you really understand that knowledge? Do you really understand, right? That to make devil, one must begin from grafting from the original. Do you really, is understanding really understood? Or are you any man which is made weak and wicked? See, that's what it's telling you, man, that devil could be you if you don't understand. If you don't understand what you build, right? Then what you build could destroy you because you didn't really have understanding of that cipher. So now, how you going to get to the peace and happiness, right? That's in the 40th degree. And what it comes down to is that you didn't understand the wisdom. Is everybody keeping up with me? I'm sure there's some people that may not be up to all the lessons that we were speaking of. Does anybody have any questions about what we dealt with so far? Because I've been mixing it up a little bit, speaking on some ways, like I said, about politics and how you got to understand the wisdom, right? You got to understand how to manifest your power in that world. See, you can manifest your power, right, to born God, or you can manifest your power and start the process of the 600 years of making devil. But it all comes from you. You don't have any questions here? Am I having another one of my times where I'm speaking with such clarity that Shaquem, what's the deal? You was just talking about the signs of wisdom and power. So because if you don't apply the power wisely, right, then in physics, they have a formula for work. Work equals force times displacement. So see, you could go apply a whole bunch of force, but if you don't apply it wisely, right, then you ain't going to do no work. See, you can have power, right? You could go and get a canister, a 10-gallon canister of gasoline, right? But how you gonna charge your phone with that? Now, if you use your knowledge and wisdom, you could say, well, I could put that in the car and then plug the phone in the car. But see, you have to apply your wisdom. You can't just dip your cord in the canister and think your phone is going to charge. Let's see, I said, yeah, you could put it in a generator and then plug it into a generator. But all of these, hold on for a second, what I mean? Why can't I see my screen? See, I'm still getting used to this. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm still getting used to this new system. I should be getting the hang of it already, though, right? You know what I mean? Everybody do the each one, teach one, and hit the like button. You see, all of these things too, the reason why I'm even putting it the way I'm putting it, right, is because, we are in the days of understanding, you know what I mean, in terms of this knowledge in general. Like when the law was talking about all the babies, right, that's to come, right, we are those babies. When he was talking about the levels of understanding, serious mathematics, natural jewel, you know what I'm saying? When he was saying that the level of understandings that the babies was going to have, we're the ones whose duty it is to come up with that understanding, to come up with the ways of how to direct this power wisely, how to manifest it wisely. How to be able to go into this cipher and speak that language. Like whatever it is that you do, whether you a school teacher or you a politician or whatever the case may be, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, how do you apply mathematics to that? Or do you just go in there and go along with the people? How do you achieve your goal, right, of going to work in the first place, Rome J? You know what I'm saying? You achieve your goal because if you go down there, right, and you try to manifest your mathematics in a way that gets you fired, right, and then you can't take care of yourself and your family, guess what? That was stupid. So there's a difference between stupid and deaf, dumb, and blind. Now, you're just looking at the dictionary, that's one thing. But I'm talking about in reference to the way it applies to the lessons. There's a difference between that. So you're just plain stupid if you do that. And it's very questionable that whatever the situation was that caused you to do that was not as important, right, is why you got the job for in the first place. You know what I'm saying? See, that's being unwise. So when you go to the job, right, you go to, you go into a new job. You know what I mean? You got your resume on it. Would you put, yeah, I know 120. And see, District 120 said, he's fired many in retail for lack of awareness. And how to go down there and be wise. You know what I'm saying? How to speak, how to communicate. How do you communicate to the individual, well, listen, we going on this lunch situation or whatever, but my dietary law, I don't eat these kinds of things. They celebrating, they might be celebrating an event that maybe you don't per se celebrate it, but it's certain opportunities available there. Certain opportunities to, kind of rub elbows with the higher ups in the company that might lead to advancement for you. See, in that situation, you got to know how to wisdom power as it applies to that world. And so by the same token, like the brother asked, okay, so, what about these, situations that we dealing with, the fresh thing that's right now, we're not even a week in to the new administration. How do we manifest our power in that world? As W said, I turned down many holiday parties and food. I mean, but there's still a way that you do that. You know what I'm saying? That you might tell them, look, nah, I got something I got to do. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna be with my kids on that particular day right there. So I'm not gonna be able to make it. You're not just gonna say F Christmas. See, now you got a whole other, you got a whole other. So with that situation, that is a good question. How do we demonstrate that power? You know what I'm saying? Uh, Politics is a there's a lot of things. But one thing about politics, it's a game of words. It's a game of ideas, and it's a game of words. You know what I'm saying? And how those words manifest ideas. And so, I'm saying that in ways that it applies to us, right? Uh, let's say we're talking about the situation with drugs, right? If we're talking about the situation with drugs, right? In some instances, the word that you hear applied to it is criminal. These people are criminals. And then in other instances, you hear them refer peace. Huh? You hear it referred to as victim. And so right now we have people who are victims of the opioid epidemic or the opioid crisis. And so this is one of the ways that it has to be manifested. District 120 said it's crazy because our hiring training package for recruiting said we can't teach awareness knowledge, which was a non-coachable. And our slogan was knowing is half the battle. Hey, whoever wrote that manual, they applied universal law. Why did that keep happening? You know, that person applied mathematics in that way, in that manual, so that it could be understood by the people who's supposed to do the training. You know what I'm saying? Or supposed to do the recruiting. Oh man, we got the wordsmith started already. Have all the new people done the each one teach one and hit the like button? Hold on for a second here. Let me put the link in here. Oh. Has everybody caught up to what we've been saying here? If you're just coming in, you're gonna have to go back. You got to weed through a little bit of, you know, we had a little bit of disruptions early on, but we got it rolling. Alkim Salam, peace. We just making sure right now we don't have no questions because we span from the mathematics into the 140 today. Man, you got Alter Eye started now too. Is this how y'all doing today? This is we with the you see in Wordsmith. We still waiting on that dictionary from you. The English language, according to the Wordsmith. How you coming along with that? We gotta get that published. Has everybody been to have you been to the Wordsmith page and listened to his song Mech Mech? What's the name of that song? Mech Mech? Is that the name of it, Wordsmith? We had a little event. Remember that situation you asked me about? You asked me about yesterday, VCR, about the situation where the three brothers attacked a woman. I don't know anything about the woman. Um, you know, she's the victim, of course, so they're not going to put all her information out. You know, but that's another situation where, you know, how do we direct this supreme energy, right? How do we apply this supreme energy, right, in order to control these type of situations in our own neighborhoods? See, because those are two different things. We don't want to mix up, right, how we got to apply ourselves, you know, in that mainstream type of way within society, right? You know, how we got to, you know, wisdom our power when we at the job, or, you know, when we dealing, you know, you go down to the school, you know, when you send your kids to school, you know, the way you tell them to wisdom their power in there is a specific kind of way. But then when we back out here on the streets, when we in our own community of our own people, how do we wisdom our power then? Just because if we don't wisdom our power, then what happens? We end up being a slave to a mental death, right? And the other powers that will manifest themselves in the community, right? If you don't have power being manifested from somebody who's civilized and righteous. The power of civilized and righteousness, right? If nobody manifests it, if nobody manifests it in a cipher, then that cipher will be taken control of, right, by the powers of death, hell, and destruction. Because remember, there's no purgatory, you know, not out here where we at. There's no purgatory. There's no middle ground between heaven and hell. So if you're not manifesting your power in the cipher, right, and you're supposed to be all wise and righteous, that's what you say. then what's going to happen? Like, who's the middleman? Like, when you look at throughout the whole lessons, who's the middleman? Who's the middle guy? Who's the neutral guy in the lessons? Think about that for a second. In the whole lessons, who's neutral? Everybody's either about freedom, justice, and equality, or they're about death, hell, and destruction. Except Musa. He's about freedom, justice, equality, and death, hell, and destruction. That's why he's half original. See, he came and taught how to live a respectful life. How to build a home for himself. And he taught what? Trick knowledge, telling lies, embellishment, and trying to master the original man. Who's this here you talking about? SW said he's known for doing that near 125th Street Station, originally from BK. Who's this? Well, Columbus is half original, but he's not. There's nothing about in there about him dealing with righteousness. You know what I'm saying? You know, Columbus is he would be one of the individuals who used Jesus' name as a shield for their dirty religion. The wordsmith says, seems like New York is real violent right now. I didn't know it was like that. You know something? I'm gonna tell you something. That's something that I was thinking too, in terms of a lot of times you hear that. Like, people come out here from Chicago and LA, you always hear them saying, where I'm from, man, it's like this, man. Where I'm from, Houston, the Midwest, etc. In all of these places where, it's all ganged up. And because, New York don't have, at least in the modern times, we don't have a huge gang era like that. You understand what I'm saying? That wasn't the most powerful force in New York the way it is in other places. You understand what I'm saying? And so, you kind of have people having this, kind of mentality where it's like, yeah, man, let me tell you something, man. New York is getting back vicious. Like, those of us that have been here for a long time, listen, man, I look, sometimes, and I'm telling you how bad New York was at one time. A lot of times when you hear people saying, yo, violence is out of control in this place over here. There's so many people getting killed. And then when you look at the numbers, it's like 200 people. Now, I'm not saying that 200 people is not a lot of people, but I'm just saying that if you was in New York in the years where we was averaging over 2,000 murders a year, we was averaging over 2,000 murders a year. So a lot of times, even right now, when people say, yo, New York is the safest it's ever been, it's still more murders here than it is other places that's supposed to be off the chain. See, now, us as the 5%, we like to think that, yeah, we had an impact on that. It's that us being the major factor here, you know what I'm saying? We about civilization. We about righteousness. So in other places, they took, nice little kids who was just going back and forth to school, and they recruited them into that way of life. In New York, it was different. It took people who was into that way of life and introduced them to righteousness. But you were saying that the dude, okay, so there was one particular guy who had on a red jacket in the attack on the lady in Harlem. Um, so this is the guy that you're saying, SW, that he's known for attacking people near the 125th Street station. Originally, he's from Brooklyn, but post-up lives in Harlem. Because I know some people from that block. You know what I'm saying? And they were saying that, yeah, these are not, so far, none of these people are people that they not regular people around. But you got new buildings opening up, you got people moving in and out, so you can't say they're not from around there, but they're not as well known. You said maybe the pandemic has something to do with a spike in crime. I mean, when you can't say that something that has had the type of impact that the pandemic has had. Uh, you can't say that that has nothing to do with it. But see, you also got to beware of scapegoating. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you're doing it on purpose. But what I'm saying is that sometimes, right, what happens is you have problems in societies, right, that go unaddressed, right? And then there is a trigger point. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, these are things that's been simmering. So just like, look, you could say the crack epidemic, you know what I'm saying, had a huge impact on the Black community. But the reality is, you know, part of the reason that people was even smoking crack was because of certain ills that already existed in society that went unaddressed. And so, crack might have been a kind of catalyst, right? That caused all of those situations and all those forces to culminate at one time in the type of death, hell, and destruction that you saw. But that was stuff that was building up from the 60s, at the very least. That was a situation that already, the benign neglect, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this to shift any blame or nothing like that. I'm just talking about understanding the situation, right? Because if you don't understand what the situation is, then how could you wisdom your power? How could you be wise about manifesting your power? You understand what I'm saying? If you don't really understand the causes of this phenomenon, right? How can you reverse that polarity? This is this, you end up in that way, you know what I'm saying, searching for that does not exist. So now we looking for, what is the new thing? Like, well, we thinking, well, if crack caused the last problem, well, it's not no crack right now. So what's the other thing? No, the thing is that in this society, certain things have been building up. You know what I'm saying? The mental health of the people deteriorating because of the types of illusions that they introduced to, right? At this point, from the time of youth. I'm talking about the social illusions that you deal with. We already know that people is introduced to uh, these religious illusions. But even that right now is, that's dying down. Like, I don't think these three characters did that because of any illusion they was under because of religion. The wordsmith said, watching CBS New York News, it seems like they like to jump people and don't do one-on-ones no more. I mean, listen, sometimes you got to understand what you're doing. So like I said, understand the wisdom. Like, look, there's some people, like, see, back in the days, right, you knew that it was certain big families. Like, you knew that, listen, if you could go over there and you could pick on people, but if you pick on that person right there, this is going to be the result. Now, in this particular situation, don't get me wrong, it's really, I don't know what would justify these three individuals doing what they did. But there's some things that happen that the person do need the whole community to kick their ass. That's what's fair. You come into a community, man, and you do something that's going to affect everybody negatively. You deal with death, hell, and destruction. Who do you think this is? David and Goliath? No, you mess with the wrong people in New York, we're going to kick your ass. And ain't nobody going to feel no shame. Ain't nobody going to feel like, oh, it should have been a one-on-one. There's some things that's what's supposed to happen. See, because what is this person doing? They preying on the whole community. Like what these three individuals did, man, they pray. Look, they got all these women up and down the block now scared. She just like District 120. He said he told his, somebody in his family, be careful out there. So guess what? When they touch down, in the jail, they got to deal with the consequences of their actions. If you don't want to receive justice from a lot of people, then don't do things that violate a lot of people. That's the bottom line. What is this? 793rd, what you put here? Mid 80s, mid 90s, early 2000s? What's that? You know, a lot of people get jumped. They better be glad that's all they got. A lot of times. You know, that's the way I look at things. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm a person. I'm a person. You know, perhaps you know, had such a misled youth that I got, you know, exposed to things. You know, but see, for me, my motto is, look, you never know what that person did. Like I'm, you know, you never know what that person did. Like I've been there myself with some of the same people in this room that they see me in the instance, right? But you didn't know you didn't know what he did. So that's why, you know, I do the knowledge, man. You know, there was a guy, I don't know if y'all saw this, you know, this guy, he got off the bus. He took a bus from Atlanta to New York. And like two cars of individuals met him at the bus station. They beat him down, stripped his clothes off, cut him. Now, on the one hand, I'm like, damn, you know, that's serious. You know, you would hate to think that something like that just happened to an innocent person who was just minding their business and got off the bus. You know, you don't want to think that something like this happened because somebody was looking at somebody or somebody bumped into somebody or stepped on somebody's shoe. But at the same time, I don't know what he did. And see, that's what I be telling y'all when, listen, you know, word is bond. That means I have to know specifically. I could say allegedly this happened or that happened. Or, you know, I heard from this source right here that this is what happened. But in order for me to say, you know, I'm gonna put my word on it, or I'm gonna get my emotions all involved without knowing what happened. Now, there's sometimes where you could look at a situation like this situation right here, where you could say, okay, y'all are three men. You know what I'm saying? And this is one woman. So I could just look at that and say, okay, there's very few things she could have done. You know, I don't know how it came to that. District 120 said, I tell my sisters the same when they tell me they're going up to Chicago. Even my brother, I tell him the same thing. I almost got caught lacking like last week if I wasn't paying attention. I mean, you know, like I said, there's situations, you know what I'm saying, where you know, you just got some, you know, innocent person that just gets caught up in a world where a person is just negative. And you didn't do nothing, right? But this person's determined idea was to do negativity. Like a lot of people that do negativity, they don't just bump into negativity. Like when they left their house with all the tools that they needed to do whatever's the business that they wanted to get into. So now you got to realize that justice, right? Justice is knowledge at a cipher. And the cipher is what? It's eternal. It's everlasting. So what that means is sometimes you reap what you sow, and sometimes you got to sow what you reap. That's what has to happen if you really knowledge that cipher. Wordsmith said in Indonesia, if you break a Sharia law, you get an organized beating with a stick to the back. Yeah, because the society is saying that this is our way of life, and you can't do what you're doing, right? That's going to bring death, hell, and destruction to our way of life. This is what we're not doing. I'm not saying we got to necessarily beat people with sticks, but we don't have no organized true self said the road to hell is paved with good intention. You know, we don't have an organized way to say that, listen, there's certain things that we don't want in our community. And see, when you're looking at it on a whole civilian level, it's more difficult to see. But see, it's also when we wisdom in our power, right, on a whole society level, right, to the mainstream. As a group of people, right, as a society of original people, right, we're not having no organized. There's no penalty that's coming from us as a whole if you poison our water. You understand what I'm saying? Like they did out in Flint. Or if you put all types of toxins in our community, you understand what I mean, that make our baby sick. And like I said, that don't mean that we go down to the corporation and pull the president out and beat him with a stick. But it does mean that we got to have an organized way, right, of us having unity, right, bringing ourselves together, and then saying, okay, look, this is the penalty for that. Like, when did that water get poisoned? Because if anybody recalls, a couple of days ago, I put the post up in the community tab that the governor from Michigan is just now being indicted for that. But do now they throw that one person under the bus, right? Without admitting that, nah, man, this is a systemic thing. I mean, in my mind, I'm not all the way well versed, so I'm speaking a little bit out of turn. But when you're talking about something like municipal water, that's not something that one person signed off on. That's not something that one person do. That's something that the whole system failed. You know what I'm saying? The people in Flint, and that's being nice about it. So yeah, when it comes to having unity and letting people know that, listen, man, what you did is a crime against our society, and you see it manifested out in the street, it looks you gotta have the stomach for that. But the principle of it, that if you violate, right, you're gonna have to deal with all of us. See, like the principle of it. See, here's the fine line, something that, and I kind of been seeing it, but see, here's the fine line when you deal with that political world right now. See, society is split pretty much down the middle. And so when society is split, when it's pretty even, right, then that means a small portion of society can tip the scales in one way or the other way. See, other people know, the Republicans know. Listen, if we don't appease the Tea Party, then they're not gonna come out and vote for us. We're gonna pay the price for that. Who paid the price, right, for the poisoning the water in Flint? Who's paying the price for all the brothers and sisters who returned to the essence last year from the police brutality, as well as the citizen on citizen brutality? But the thing is, we can have that power, we can have that unity. But see, where it tells you Allah is just and true, it means, we deal with justice, right? Which is penalties and rewards, but we deal with the truth too. And so that means that when a person deserves a reward, we don't hold it back. And when a person deserves a penalty, we don't hold it back. But we deal with that person. Like if somebody punch you in the face, you don't go punch somebody else in the face. See, that wouldn't be just and true. What is this you say here, Wordsmith? You seen a documentary about Hindus in India killing people for eating beef because they regard the cow as the holy mother. I mean, look, this is one of those things you deal with perspective. See, we look at that as bugged out. But guess what? The Chinese, the people in Asia, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to put it on one group of people, but we got people right in Asia that eat dogs and cats. And they looking at people in America like, yo, why do y'all think dogs and cats is holy? Like, what, they just like y'all eat cows and pigs, just like y'all eat chickens and fish. The dog is another animal like that. You understand what I'm saying? So it seems bugged out to us because of the culture that we in. It just goes to show you, you know what I'm saying, what a mindset and a worldview is. The world that you existed in. So like in the wisdom degree in the 114, you know what I'm saying, it tells you about the Christian world. When it tells you that BC means before Christ. That means you're dealing with the Christian point of view. And then it tells you about the Asiatic world, where you're dealing with a different point of view. See, even the way they read books, they read them in opposite directions. See, that's something that, you had to be wise if you went into that world. Not saying that if you in Romans, you got to do what the Romans do. I mean, if you in Rome, you got to do what the Romans do. But when you in Rome, there's no need to disrespect the Romans. Have respect for them in their house just the same way you respect for them to have respect for you in your house. I don't go down to the mosque and disrespect them. I don't go down to the temple, the synagogue, et cetera, et cetera. Because that's a part of civilization, how you deal with other civilized people whose civilization may be based on a little bit different knowledge and wisdom than what your civilization is based on. How do you deal with those people? Do you deal in equality with them? Or is your way of dealing with them to bring death, hell, and destruction to their world? See, this one makes a difference. And if people see you as civilized, how did you wisdom your power? Just like we said, did you understand that wisdom? The wisdom, right? Symbolic to water. It boils at 212 degrees, which burns power. It freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which burns power. So now, for instance, right, in the summertime, individuals, they manifested power in a physical way. When we saw the protests, we saw how they went to all different levels. But now that was then. That was the world of the summer of 2020. Okay, now it's been an election. How are we going to be wise about manifesting our power right now in this time? Because just because you manifested it that way successfully last time, that don't mean it's going to work this time. Because what it tells you, they continue daily. See, one of the things that it tells me, at least when I look at that, is that the establishment is constantly being upgraded. So what I'm saying is that, if you go back to the 1800s, they wasn't using Facebook to indoctrinate people. If you go back to the 1980s, if you go back to the 1990s, they was not using Facebook as an indoctrination tool. See, that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make is not understanding about renewing history. And what's that? Wisdom, power. And so now you all prepared for what happened before, and then what happened? They adjusted their strategy. Then what happened? See, right now, the form of gold that they promising you is not the same form of gold that they was promising uh, 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 379 years ago. Are you wise enough to still see through the illusion, though? See, uh, Wordsmith, this is, Wordsmith, you've met Indians that work at Subway. You don't know per se that they was Hindus. I mean, you could ask them, but just generally speaking, man, just because they Indian, that don't mean that they Hindus. But that is also a part. This is something, and I don't want to cause no friction. But see, just like you said, you sure that they eat the food? You know what I'm saying? No, a lot of times they don't. A lot of times, that's how they see America in general, and the Black community in specific. Is that it's things that we could go there and do, right? Like the big thing in New York, you know what I'm saying, at least, is, all the Arab stores used to serve ham and cheese. Now they wouldn't do that in their country, even if they wasn't Muslim. But because they amongst people that they think so lowly of, and that they realize think so lowly of themselves, then they could come and do that over there. See, a lot of people that do things that they know is not going to be accepted in their community, they find another community where they could go do that. There's actually some different, very interesting stories. You know, uh, Throughout history about that. Kendall Rowland said when they had us enslaved, they weren't just making money off of us, they were studying us. They realized that we are very emotional people. They knew that they could manipulate our emotions. Indeed. Uh, Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock said it's a Christian nation. You mean America? What's a Christian nation? Because this is something that's happened. Christianity has been introduced to a lot of places, right? And see, a lot of other religions, right, pre-Christian, right, even Judaism, for that matter, right, is very they very strong on justice. They very stringent about justice. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you live the wrong way and you come back as an ant for a lifetime. You know, you come back as a cockroach. You know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, other religions. You know, you're from this tribe, and that's just what this tribe is. This is what whatever your gods is. This is what they made y'all. But see, because Christianity has that, that promise of illusion that at the end, everybody's going to heaven. And see, everybody's sinners, no matter what level they on. But if you follow this program right here that we have for you, then you could be let into heaven, where everybody's going to be the same at the feet of God. And so they've been able to go to a lot of different places and introduce Christianity. But so that's what I didn't understand. Or I didn't, which country were you referring to? Divine Truth. Which country were you referring to when you said that Christianity is or which nation is Christianity? Which nation is a Christian nation? So you said more so North America, but the Americas in general and Caribbean are Christian nations. I mean, yeah, you got to remember that's the banner. That's the banner under which they unified to come over here. You know what I'm saying? That's the banner under which, they unified to even, take their culture out of the, subservient level that they was dealing with the Moors, you know what I'm saying, on one side and the Ottomans on the other side. And so, yeah, I couldn't think of a nation in the Western Hemisphere right now that's not a Christian nation. The main difference that I see in, what they call the Americas is Catholicism and Protestantism. The wordsmith said Christian preachers are just capitalists. Well, expand on that. What do you mean by that? The wordsmith said Christianity now isn't what it was a couple of centuries ago. Well, what's some of the differences, like what you're saying in terms of how magnetic it is to the people? Spock said you will find Arabs and Indians all over these places selling their products in the markets, on the highways and byways. Yeah, but even a lot of them, they've still been converted over to Christianity over the time because, like I said, that sales pitch that listen, whatever's going on with you right now, whether you're a slave on a plantation, whether you're an indentured servant on a ship, whether you're a starving peasant somewhere, whether you just dealt with a social collapse because of a natural disaster or something. if you just got to bear with this, and let Jesus into your heart. Give us the tithes. And as long as you do all of that right, you're gonna go into heaven. So Christianity is a religion probably ran by its sects. Catholicism. What do you mean? Probably some typos right there. Kendall Rowland said, but they taught us that we should embrace all establishment while they create heaven on earth for themselves. They taught us this, but they don't believe in it themselves. Nah, they don't believe in it. If they really believed that stuff, they wouldn't do the stuff they doing. Like if you really believe that, you know what I'm saying? Like if you really thought, right, that supreme mathematics and 120 was so key to your development and so key to you being successful and remaining civilized in all your endeavors, wouldn't you know it? If you really was about the science of this mathematics, it's saying that this mathematics saved your life and this is what you use in order to be successful, right? And taking knowledge to born in every individual situation in cipher, right? Wouldn't you know today's mathematics? Like if you don't know today's mathematics, you don't bear witness to what you're saying. You're not being the change you want to see. Wordsmith said Christianity now is more a business to where back then it functioned like a European gang. No, it was always a business. The Vatican has always had big dollars. You know what I'm saying? The entire time, it was a business. At least going back to the Council on Nicaea, you know what I'm saying? That was one of the purposes for it, that, in order for trade and commerce to be conducted, you had to have a certain amount of peace. And because the Roman Empire had all different kinds of people, like once they conquered all of these different places in Europe, North Africa, Asia Minor, et cetera, you got all these vast different people that believe all these different things. They don't have a common cause. So in order to give them a common cause so that they could continue to deal with their plunder, they had to come up with an idea to unify them, and that idea was Christianity. You know what I'm saying? Or like I said, what was the guy that hold on, let me Google his name. Because the popes, I never really recall their names. Some of them, let me see. So we have here the tickets to heaven. The tickets to heaven were called indulgences, right? And it says here, in the teaching of the Catholic Church, an indulgence is a way to reduce the amount of punishment one has to undergo for sins. The Catechism of the Catholic Church describes an indulgence as a remission before God of the temporal punishment due to sins whose guilt has already been forgiven, which the faithful Christian who is duly disposed gains under certain prescribed conditions through the action of the church, which, as the minister of redemption, dispenses and applies with authority the treasure of the satisfactions of Christ and all the saints. What it says here, the recipient of an indulgence must perform an action to receive it. This is most often the saying once or many times of a specified prayer, but may also include the visiting of a particular place or the performance of specific good works. So it says here, where is, I'm trying to look for the particular individual who was selling these indulgences. This particular pope So it says here, the church outlawed the sale of indulgences in 1567. So of course, this is coinciding with the time of the Protestant Reformation, when things of Pope Urban. Right, Martin did, yeah. Well, Orta I, he got the science of it through Nasuet. Atif said Pius V was also a seller of these indulgences. So, you know, it's been big business. It's been big business. VC Rome say, can I highlight this comment? Which comment? Atif has here in 1517, Pope Leo X offered indulgences for those who gave alms to rebuild St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. The aggressive marketing practices of Johann Tetzel in promoting this cause provoked Martin Luther to write his 95 Theses, condemning what he saw as the purchase and sale of salvation. So, you know, those are just a couple of, you know, examples of, you know, how it's always been big business. I mean, look at their jury. I mean, not for nothing. I'm talking about when you see them, when you see them, over there in the Vatican, they rocking the jewels. When you see that kind of jury, gold scepters and all these types of things, they bought that bread, son. But it's just moved into different, it's moved, they continue daily. So exactly how they extract the money. You understand what I'm saying? Just like, if you deal with capitalism, at one time, the way that they extracted the money from labor was through slavery and, indentured servitude. Motherland Gardens, you know, now they got other ways of extracting that wealth. But you know, uh, from the outside looking in, I had to say it looks funny. From the inside looking out, it looks funny to me. Did you just notice that, it's a lot of money circulating up in here? District 120 said, do you think some of those items they wear were stolen? Absolutely. I don't know of Italy per se, right, to be a source of any great riches. Like, does anybody have, any knowledge of that? Like, what kind of natural resources are abundant in Italy? You got to remember that the Catholic Church is an arm of the Roman Empire that never fell. Like, see, the military arm fell. The political arm fell. But that religious arm, which is the Catholic Church, never fell. Remember, the first pope was Constantine, who was also the emperor of Rome. And so, to my knowledge, the riches of Rome comes from the Roman Empire plundering different places and enslaving different people, from around their empire. So I'm pretty sure there's some pieces in there that was stolen. You know what I'm saying? Probably melted down, 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, and now you see the Pope rocking it. So Mr. Spock said the natural resources of Italy are wine and leather. So yeah, where else would they get that? Where else would they get that gold? Atif said the Vatican archives has more written history and artifacts than any other source in the world, except for what Saddam had. Well, you got to remember, it was the religious people who were the scribes. You know what I'm saying? It was the Catholic Church who was the beneficiary of a lot of the knowledge that it was the Catholic Church that was the beneficiary of a lot of the knowledge that they received in the time of the Crusades. And it was the Catholic Church who, after running the Moors out of Spain, right? Andalus, and all of the knowledge that they had there, it was uh, the Catholic Church that translated all of this stuff into the Latin, which was later translated into the different languages in Europe. You know what I'm saying? But don't sleep on the Muslims. They're religious scholars too, had a lot of recorded history. And, some people, Europeans, I'm saying, like for instance, the Greeks, they had to receive their history back from the Islamic people. A lot of these things that occurred in the ancient world, that knowledge had been lost. Like, I haven't researched it per se to say that, but one of the stories that I heard was that the Roman Colosseum, that they was using it for like herding goats or something. At one time, because it was forgotten what it was, what was the original, use of it, what was the whole history of it. A lot of these buildings that you see in Europe from the ancient world and they destroyed, they not just destroyed because of natural disasters. Yeah, it was natural disasters too, but a lot of them is because people just went over there and took the material off of it. The same way you have an abandoned house now and people go in there and strip out all the copper. They strip out the plumbing and the the things that still of value. The Roman Colosseum, the Parthenon, and all these places was looted. So that's a part of the phenomenon of why these religious people have so much of the history recorded, and then also is that their history is continuous. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that, empires, right, during the time, I'm saying like during the time that has been Christianity, during the time that has been Islam, right, empires have come and gone. Nation states, city states, et cetera, have come and gone. But these religious organizations have remained throughout that time. And so they don't have the situation where the books have been destroyed. Question, Atif, I don't know the answer. How much access is there to those archives? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there 100% access? Is there only certain people that's allowed 100% access? Do we have any information on that? Is everybody done the each one teach? Want to hit the like button? District 120 said, yeah, I seen there was a monument in Greek mythology is made of what copper that when the light hit it, it shined an amber color. So Atif said there's mostly no access to the Vatican archives. Interesting. Interesting. So of course we got started a little bit late today. But still in all, I gotta wind this one down. Oh yeah, that's good looking on that, he Kareem. Share that out. You know what I'm saying? Tag all your people in that. Everybody that you think might like that. Because you know, everything with me has got to be manual. We got to do the each one teach one. Uh, you know, like the video, share them on your pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the Facebook groups, text message, et cetera, et cetera. And that's pretty much the only way we're gonna get the word out. Right now, I'm looking at this. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how it works. It's like an SMS program where I can send out a text message alert. Oh, the knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, that's probably my favorite joint on it. But yeah, we need to get the word. We need to get the word out there about that. Malik Lowe, District 120 said the book I have is The Pyramid Shining a Bright Color with Gold Caps. Yeah, like apparently, the what we seeing right now is kind of like the scaffolding, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But there was the pyramids was they was aesthetically they had it was a cover on it. You know what I'm saying? Steve said the Catholic Church and the potential trove within have few years of wild speculation about what's inside. Yeah, that's true. What was that movie they had? It was a movie a couple years ago uh, with the Elders of Zion or something. What was it? The Protocols of Zion. What was the name of that movie? I think it had Tom Hanks in it. I didn't actually see it, but I recall it being big. Gelatin capsules for vitamins. I mean, a lot of those vitamins, the gelatin capsules contain pig. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like a blanket thing, because there are ones that they tell you that is the capsule is vegetable based. But I do know that some of them, at least at one point in time, the gelatin that existed in there was pork. Right, the Da Vinci Code. That's the name of the movie that they put out a couple of years ago about different knowledge that was supposed to be being concealed by the Catholic Church. Chief said the archives indexes are not public and are only accessible to scholars once they are 75 years old, and they are housed in a fortress-like part of the Vatican. The secretive nature of the Catholic Church and the potential trove within have fueled years of wild speculation about what's inside. You said 793rd said he made a whole series, the Rosetta Stone. Well, who this is related to the Catholic Church? Because the Rosetta Stone is from Egypt. But at any rate, do we have any questions before we wind this down? You know, once again, everybody make sure they did the each one teach one. Hit the like button. Like I said, share this on your pages. So we can get the word out. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that the What Did I Miss crew, Kareem said, just got some vitamins with elderberry, turmeric, zinc, ginger, echinacea, vitamin C, and D. And this is one vitamin, or you got different? I mean, these are some of the best ones that I heard about. Right, I do recall that Don Bishop just came in and said Angels and Demons was another movie they made about the secret knowledge or the unseen archives that's in the Catholic Church. You know, so you had the Da Vinci Code, and then the sequel was Angels and Demons. But we're going to do a last call for any questions. Where does the money go when I show the Cash App? I mean, it goes to a great number of things. You know, I have to, it costs me a little bit of money to do these lives. You know what I'm saying? I gotta pay Zoom. You know what I'm saying? I have to, what do you say here? But, you know, most of the things that I do here for the nation, you know, I do out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it shows up in, you know, the food that we feed to the boxing class, supplies that I need for the garden, et cetera, et cetera. So what did you say here? Mr. Spock said, say other ingredients, gelatin, capsules. I should throw it away. No, I think you should, before you throw it away, you know, research it, because it don't necessarily have to be pig. You know, it's one of them, you know, a lot of, you know, products, they could be made from more than one source. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you got like what is it? Lecithin. You know, you got animal based lecithin, and you got vegetable based lecithin. So don't just throw it away before you check that out. But yeah, though Malik Lowe, I'm not collecting money to open. I'm not collecting money to open a school. I'm not. I'm not. Well, actually, I may be drawing up some. Soon. I got sidetracked a little bit because of some other issues, but I do have to print up the sovereignty papers. Mrs. Black said it doesn't have a kosher mark either. I mean, maybe it didn't come from Jews. Asiatic Mathematics said that was me that just sent that. Wait, I don't think I got it yet. I see. Yeah, shout out to Asiatic Mathematics for that donation to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, God Savvy Divine. Now that I think about it, no one should hesitate to donate to the Cash App so that you may be granted access to the hereafter. Just in case you want to be granted, you want to ensure your access to the hereafter, even though you haven't given all that you have and all within your power. Hit the Cash App. So if we don't have any other questions, I'm gonna wind this down. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, make sure everybody does the each one teach one and shares this out on your other pages. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow at 7:00 for the normally scheduled Tuesday civilization class. And with that, I'm going to say peace.